Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Macsville. We're playing Cities Skylines on Mac. I'm MacMan Games, and I'm looking forward to today's episode. As you can see, we're staring out over some ruined castle. It's in the middle of a little island that sits in the middle of our river, and this is going to be the focus of today's build. We're going to build a nature reserve, I believe, and we're going to try and figure out how to do this in a really good way so that loads of people can go to it, easy access, walking availability so that people can just cross straight over, and at the same time make something that looks pretty. Speaking of looking pretty, I'm guessing that we probably are going to need to move this massive water pump because I'm pretty sure that's not going to start very well. Let's jump right in. As I say that, everything's on fire. Of course it is. It wouldn't be City Skylines if we didn't have everything on fire. In episode 4.5, which wasn't really an episode, but what I had done was go through and basically fix up everything so that we had roads. And what I'm just doing quickly here as well is we're actually going to remove any of the zoning that is currently there, because we will do this differently as we start to build out that river walk that we've been talking about for so long. Here's the thing. This is beautiful. We like this. And I think people would love to come over here and to visit this area. So what I wanted to try and do was figure out a way to create a park which will also allow people to go visit, but have a nice sort of feel to it. They can sit around, they can talk, they can camp maybe even on the island. But the other key piece to this is I'm thinking that it's only going to be connected by paths. And there's a reason for this. I think it would just be a really, really nice place for people to be able to just go visit, hang out, but only if they can get there by foot. So we're going to have one little bridge there, and then I think we're going to have another little bridge just kind of opposite this park, maybe even in line with this. And there's a reason why I'm doing this sort of thoughtfully. I say sort of. I haven't actually tried to do this yet. Usually I would do a test run for these things just to make sure it will actually work, but I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. Of course it'll be fine. But what I'm actually thinking is our park zone is going to obviously be the whole middle part of the island, because this is going to be awesome to have as part of it. Also, because there's a river, we're going to be able to have like fishing spots and all sorts of things attached to the river. So we're going to do this. But what we're also going to do is we're going to bring it all the way down to here and bring it all the way down to here. So what this is going to do is it means that we can actually have our entrances to the park on this side, and then people walk over and then they can go spend their weekend camping, etc. I do think potentially there is a use case for this road that's attached, but I think if we did the road would be purely to have like a bus lane, which I think could be quite cool as well. But I think we'll come back to the bus lane. I haven't figured out how we're going to do buses yet, and it is something that I've got planned for maybe the next couple of episodes time, where we can actually start adding in some mass transit. So let's start building out this park. I think I'm going to do this as a time lapse, and we're going to go with the idea of a nature reserve, because I think that just makes sense for the location of where the park actually is. And then we're going to build it out from there and see how we get on. Okay, so in its most basic fashion or format, this is how I'm envisaging this little island. Yes, of course, eventually it's going to cut across over to here as well, where we will have additional road networks and also the footpaths, which I think will be great. But right now, I'm not going to connect it up because obviously we don't have anything else on this side. And I think next episode, we'll be getting a new tile, so we're going to be able to do that. But for now, what we've done is we've created the nature reserve. It hasn't got a huge amount going on in there currently, but we are up more than enough entertainment to get us to the next level. Now we just need the visitors, so that's going to take time. And as soon as we've got more unlocked, we'll be able to start building up the lookout points and things like that. And then we'll come back to have a look. But for now, you can have a quick sneak peek at the camping area that I've done, which is absolutely teeming with people already. You can see this, people coming to, we've filled this really nicely, I think. Loads and loads of trees around this camping area. There's a nice little fireplace there, campfire. There's a lean-to campfire over there as well. There's a couple of tents. There's this chap. This is me when I go camping. I just sit there, usually with a beer in my hand, and can enjoy my life. But look at this. What a place. So peaceful. No road, no cars, no pollution, no nothing. Just people. So this is going to be really cool to start building up. The next piece to this puzzle, of course, is to have a name. There's somebody that's been commenting and that's been really helpful and really encouraged me whilst we've been starting this channel. So this is for an owl. And I think what we're going to call this actually for now is, very simply, an owl reserve. So if I could spell. So thank you, Anal, for any comments that you've left and for showing support to the channel. It means a lot, especially in these early stages. Let's get this show on the road. Next step. Wow. what happened here? I saw a sign for water being an issue. Ah, okay. We have water availability issues. We have power issues. Oh, wow. Okay, I see why. Because of the roadworks that we've done. Oh, we've actually disconnected the power, which is what's causing that to not work, which in turn is meaning that the water supply has been problematic, which in turn means that people have been abandoning everything. I was going to say what we want to do now is to see whether or not we can keep building and get to our next milestone, because I thought that would be quite cool, but I feel like we've gone the opposite way. We've actually probably got further away from our milestone. But okay, we want to reach a population of 7,000. That shouldn't be too difficult. We've got some prime areas that are looking like they're going to be really nice to develop. And of course, when we did the little in-between episode, I went through and did all the new roads. These are now 4 lanes along here, 4 lanes along the waterfront, which I think is really important. And we've got a couple of main roads that follow across sort of east to west, as it were, let's call it. So it's just that one. So this will become like the main thoroughfare to get back and forth and across. Wow, I mean, what happened? Is this just all because of the water whilst I was building the park? Okay, give me a second and then we'll be right back.
Many hours later.
Alrighty, and with the absolute devastation of whatever that was that basically caused everybody to leave the city in completely entirety, all of them, residential, industrial, everyone was miserable and unhappy, so they've all left. That's fine. We've bulldozed all those lots. Took a little bit longer than I was hoping. This should, in theory, mean things come back on track. Electric is no problem. Water's no problem. We're making money, which is great. So I think what we can do is we can just continue to focus our next couple of residential areas and just keep building those out. And currently we are doing a lot of grid work, but I do still think this will be like the main part of the city as it kind of grows with that nature reserve in the middle. I think that's a really nice place to kind of grow out. And again, this will flow all the way round and down, I'd say, as we're looking at it now, sort of south and then to the west as well down here. So I think that'll be a really nice way of doing it. So I think for now we are going to stick to our kind of grid. I say kind of because I'm not 100% sure how grid-like it actually is. But yeah, I think this will be a nice way to continue this. So let's build out this grid quickly. And you're going to notice I'm doing something again, just slightly different. And I think this is more in my head for variety rather than anything else. But also what I am going to do is I'm going to be sticking some walking paths through, because again, we haven't really been focusing on that too much beforehand, but I think that'll be really important to start giving us a little bit more. So not only have we kind of changed that back around after this piece, swapped that out, but again, we go back to that grid like we had before, but with the additional one space in it just to allow us to do that. Okay, going to quickly throw in all the paths, and then I think what we're going to do is create this as a separate district. Okay, let's get water where it should be, as we all know what Phil would say. So we now have water, and as I mentioned, I think I'm going to do this as a separate district. And the reason for this is it will allow us to kind of just be able to do something a little bit different. We can have a play around. Remember, any names for districts or anything like that, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know. It really helps with engagement and getting this channel started, which is hugely important to me. But more importantly as well, it also means that we have some of you guys actually part of this, which I think is really important. A couple of the things that I think we're going to do here. Default style, before we do anything, is I think we're going to go with a mid-century modern kind of style. I think that'll be quite interesting. You can see here I've got like some other styles that I've tried to add in. The European one didn't really work the other day, and there's one of them that I took away. So I think we're going to go with mid-century modern for this section. And I think also we're going to make some policies that make this area a little bit different. So I think what we can actually do is we can do like a heavy traffic ban, which I think will be great. We're going to encourage recycling in this part. So what we're going to say here is, in terms of commercial specialization, I want like the organic and local produce only around here. And I think that's going to be really cool, actually. I think it will be really, really nice. We could go with self-sufficient buildings, but I don't think it's realistic at this stage. We'll come back to that. And then what we're going to do here is obviously the main road. The main drag is along here, I believe. This is where we're going to have the bulk of all of our commercial. Just notice that somehow I missed one path connection here. Okay, so we're going to have all our commercial down the main drag, which is fine. And then now we've got a ton of space to be able to put loads of residential, which I believe we have a fair amount of demand. We don't really have demand for industrial. I think everyone's rebuilding in the areas where they had stopped building earlier and all abandoned shops. So all we need to do now is actually focus on some of the services that we're going to need. Because again, this is quite far away from our previous sort of center of town. And I know we do have a lot of capacity, which is fine, but it's the distance that worries me, and we don't really have transport, etc. So for now, we're going to throw down an elementary school here. I don't think we're going to do the high school yet, because that starts to add some serious costs, which does make a difference. And then in terms of policing, we've got one police station in the whole area. So I do think this is going to be really useful here. So we're going to have a police station that comes off here. We're going to double check our fire, because we've got a lot of trees planted all over the place now. So I do think an additional fire station. We've got 1, 2, 3 currently. So I do think an additional fire station will be very useful. And I think actually we're going to plop it down here, which will give it easy access to get back to the main road, but again, not sending that traffic straight off. And finally, healthcare. How are we doing for healthcare? Wow, we've got one clinic in the entire city. Average health, not great. Understandable. Let's throw down an additional clinic as well, which I think will help. And let's have a really quick look as well. Childcare seems to be okay-ish. Elder care, not ideal. Yeah, that's really not ideal. And I'm just wondering, actually, because of the placement here, oh, this could be lovely. And I might change where it's facing just to get it off that main road. But for now, I think that's actually going to work out really well. Bearing in mind, we need to get our road here to start bending round as well. So hang on, let's just start. How are we going to do this? So I'm thinking something like this. And then I think actually it'll probably come down here and then go alongside the actual train tracks. Could that be cool? Let's see if I can do that. Something like that, I think, yeah. And then it could keep coming down. And in fact, if it kept coming down, can it go straight alongside here? Throw that road all the way down to here. And then I think, well, we might be in luck here. If we connect like that, that's not too sharp. And there we go. We actually have our main connectivity all the way through. Okay, so that's everything I think we need in here. So I think our main focus is going to be zoning this out. So I think this is quite an easy zoning job, actually. You're going to see that I've left two little spaces here that are empty whilst this is actually filling out. But I have left these two spaces. It's not for any reason other than currently I'm not 100% sure what I want to put in there yet, but I will do something different, I think. Also, we've got a few more buildings that are coming up as being abandoned. I'm not sure why. And of course, as I'm trying to do that, our park comes up with congratulations, we've reached level 2. So we're going to go back in, get the park updated as quickly as possible as well. Awesome. So we're seeing here that we are struggling to find workers, which is interesting. So this was the idea of the local stores and local produce stores. And for some reason, we can't actually get people to work in these shops. So I'm hoping that somebody somewhere is going to get a bit more educated. We are showing that we've still got a huge amount of commercial demand as well. And so what's quite nice, because we created these sort of big blocks, some of these places are great for commercial, to be honest, because they're against sort of a main road. They're against the main road, but we can actually zone them off the main streets, if that makes sense. So we could do this. And if we wanted to, we could even add small road in between if we wanted to cut these up for whatever reason and actually do that. But I think for now, this area of town doesn't necessarily need people to be educated to work in the shops, unlike what we were currently struggling with in Willow Hills, as it's called. And also what I've realized is here we don't actually have our districts done very nicely. So we're going to fill this out, and I think we're going to create a new district along here. And although right now these districts don't necessarily have anything particular planned, it will be useful as we keep going and as we decide to do different things and different specializations in different areas. But for now, it means that everywhere that we've got roughly is now covered by a particular district, and I think that will be useful when we get further down the line. Just checking in on how our population is going. We're not growing that fast down here, which is a bit of a shame, and we are showing that we still need a lot of commercial. But what I am going to focus on currently, we're going to let this hopefully build out with this mid-century modern. Going to take another look at an owl reserve. We've now unlocked level 2 perks, as it were. So we've got new things. So we've got a viewing deck, a different viewing deck, and we've got a tent campsite. Now, you will have noticed that I drew some like really straight lines, and there's a reason for that. A lot of these things, when you then go to put them in, they don't get on very well with angles. So when we have these nice sort of meandering roads and paths, they don't often work that way very well. So I've left a couple of these little straight pieces. This area here, I did think we'd have some fishing cabins down at this end. So I don't want to use that with the viewing decks currently, but I do think we can get away with a viewing deck back towards the city, sticking out of the edge there, which I think would be lovely. I think we'd get away with one on the edge of this part as well, so you could look out and also see the castle. Bearing in mind, we haven't actually drawn a path over to the castle either, so that's something that we do need to do, and we haven't connected the road to the park either, so we're going to have to do that. And I think as well, eventually there will be stuff on the other side, so we will have one just over here. And of course, all of these do need to be connected, which is fine. Okay, so these are connected. We've put in the new campsite as well. I'm just going to double check how we're doing. So we've got plenty of entertainment. So this is now just purely about we need more visitors for this to keep leveling up. And the more it levels up, I think the better it'll be. And the final piece of the puzzle that I was saying earlier, just going to add a path for now that will connect to that, which means people should, in theory, be able to walk down here and then go and see the castle. I don't know whether they will. That's a different story. Where are all the people? Ah, they're busy on the viewing deck. I mean, that's not bad view, is it? And especially once this is all built out and that becomes like the Riverwalk area, it'll be quite nice to stand here. Except for that. That's ugly. We're also struggling to get our population up, and it's saying that we do need more commercial area, although the commercial areas we have don't seem to be able to get any educated workers, which is a real pain. Also, before this area just completely stops working as well, we're just going to throw in some much needed water under the roads, of course. These spaces are not having any issues really in terms of, yeah, the commercial zones are going up really quickly. Not sure that I'm enjoying looking at these all kind of broken up like that, and I'm really not liking the look of that actually. So I think we're going to have to do something about it. So I was trying to figure out how to do this and how to maybe do something more interesting or different, but then I realized I didn't really want to actually just blast everything along this main road, because otherwise this is going to become really, really busy. So I kind of got these little sections off to the side. They'll do something slightly different, and also maybe in future we can get some cool assets that we could drop into that. And then the final piece of the puzzle would be to just put, again, you know me, I love a path, so we're going to do a path all the way along here, which I think will be really nice. But I think also it's going to go over the road so that people can literally just keep walking. Let me try and see if I can do this. So this won't look like much currently, or it might not look like much at all, but I do think this will help massively just getting some connectivity in through here. Look at this. People walking everywhere. And you can see here we got cool shops going. So I'm thinking what we'd actually do, possibly get this all like nicely done up so that it looks like it was kind of thoughtfully planted, I guess. This is going to be great here to just give us that kind of gap and break between what we're doing on this side in terms of residential areas, and then on the other side this commercial zoning that goes alongside the highway, which I think is a really cool way of doing it as well. And this walkway, I mean, look at it. The pedestrian area is just teeming with people. And I have realized sometimes on the rendering the trees come out looking quite weird, so I'm gonna just see if I can make that stop happening. Yeah, I'm not sure how to make that stop happening, but yeah, you can see there that the trees here look great, and then there they just sort of become these blob messes. So I'll look for a mod or something that will help us fix that. Look at this. I mean, this commercial area is thriving, and you can see that the districts, Sheffield Hills is also on the eco-friendly kind of things, but then over this side we don't have that, so we get the different sort of areas. Okay, so we wanted to get to the next milestone, and I'm pretty sure that we're not quite there yet, unfortunately. So we are going to have to continue that build, I think, to try and make sure that we get some additional people into town. And I think here I've left it all disconnected, which I quite like, and I'm going to do that. But here we're going to make a connection. So we'll have one connection into the main road from there, and I think that's going to be it. We've got one here, one there, big one up there, and I think this kind of keeps this as a bit of a separate area, and it means that all the traffic won't fly onto those roads yet. This area I'm going to make slightly different. Let's see what we can come up with. Okay, so you're probably wondering what the hell is he done here? But it's okay, we're going to do something. I just wanted to break up the grid, and as because we got the train line here, I figure this is going to be like the final piece that comes up to this area. We're not going to be able to cross this as easily, so we're going to have to come up with some ideas for bridges and either tunnels, bridges, etc. to get past this, or whether or not this main road kind of comes all the way down and this just is a natural break. So we're going to have to take that as it comes. But I did like the sort of style of these houses. I just didn't like the way that they're in those grids. So what I'm thinking is that we would add this section into the same area, and what I actually think will happen is here we'll get some really nice lots, especially if we do it as we want. Only the bigger lots, and this will look like a kind of more exclusive suburb, for lack of a better word. And I especially want these kind of little roads as they come down to be filled up. As I've said that, obviously, I've just realized that if I did want it to be an upmarket area, what I should have done is put in some parks. I think what we might do is just have like a couple of little stores here as well. I think I'm gonna have to do some trickery. Now again, I still haven't learned how to use that prioritizing mod that allows you to decide where the zoning actually takes place. So what I've done is I've just cheated a little bit there, and I've just used the fencing kind of system. But again, I feel like maybe it would change the fence, but I think it would kind of make sense maybe to have like this really nice semi-gated community. In fact, actually, let's see if we can get away with doing it all the way along. Yeah, see, I think this looks quite nice. And also, just to make sure that there's, again, the ability for everyone to like and enjoy themselves along here, add in some connectivity with little paths. So we're still getting demand for more commercial. I'm intrigued as to how this will fill out, but we'll see how it goes. I think maybe just to help us out. So I think that's quite a nice little neighborhood, you see? And again, it'll just break up the viewpoint of how we look at things when we look above. Yeah, look at that. Just a little bit of a different kind of grid. This will also be a lovely area. Like, there's no through roads, no nothing. Traffic will be down to a minimum. Yeah, I think that's a lovely little part of the world. But we still need some more residential, and that seems to be the only thing that people really want. But I think as of this section here, we're going to change up the grid. Give me a second, I'll come right back. So what I've done is I've created a separate district, which has been named Crest District. And in Crest District, actually, we're just going to have high density housing when we get access to it, which is very soon. But for now, it just means that we're going to have no specializations or anything like that. We're just literally going to ram these houses in there and make sure that that is a great place for people to come and just basically be able to live. So it'll be affordable, it'll be nothing special, and we will be upgrading it very quickly into high density, because I did think it would be quite nice to have something to give people a reason to live here, especially when we do put it into high density. But that will have to do for now, and I'm hoping that this will give us what we need, which is the jump to the next level. And I'm going to leave this on speeding up a little bit. We're going to see how this builds out, and then I think we should hopefully reach the 7,000 mark. Okay, so that took longer than I was hoping for. This has been a mammoth episode. If you've made it all the way through to the end, I am so grateful. Thank you very much. If you're enjoying this series and if you want to see more of Cities Skylines on Mac, then please hit the like button down below. Let me know what you liked or what you didn't like in the comments, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the future episodes. I'm still trying to plan 1 to 2 episodes a week. I will be away for a week coming up in a little while, so I might have some gaps, but I will try and pre-prepare some episodes so that they keep coming out. Thank you again, and I'll see you soon.